I'm discussing these questions for Tuesdays with Morrie. First question is, who do you think got more out of their Tuesday meetings, Mitch or Morrie? In what ways, and how do you think each would answer this question? Well, first of all, I think that Mitch got much more out of the Tuesday meetings because Morrie was already um, in his own ways, which are the ways that he was like expressing upon Mitch. So Mitch was learning from Morrie. So rather than Morrie really learning from Mitch, Mitch learned a lot from Morrie. He learned a lot of why Morrie wasn't really sad, why Morrie was able to go through this struggle in a much less pain than many other people do. Mitch, he really grasped a lot, learned a lot. He was able to relive the old days with his old professor, Morrie, and it was able to let him relive his college days, while Morrie was just kind of doing what he was used to. Yes, he was reliving his days with Mitch, but he's kind of been doing this all along. And how do you think each would answer this question? I think that Morrie would probably agree that Mitch is learning a lot from him, and Mitch would agree that he's learning a lot from Morrie, taking away from Morrie how to love and live and not to like be sad, and how to be okay with death and be okay and accept the ending of a life. Question number 2. Discuss Morrie's criticisms of Mitch throughout the book. Throughout the book, I believe that Morrie criticizes Mitch multiple times throughout the story, but not in a very direct way. It's almost like indirect, as in the one chapter, Morrie talks about how people should not do things just for the money, do things for what they enjoy, do the things that they want to do the things that they like to do, be in it for the passion that they have. Such as Morrie said, he originally did not go to school to become a professor. Eventually, down the line, he became a professor, and that's where he ended up. So Mitch, on the other hand, he decided he wasn't going to work towards money, but in the end he ended up working towards money. That's all he cared about. Mitch was money, 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 and Morrie kind of criticized this, saying that like, you don't need money, money is okay, it helps you, but do what you like, do what you want, don't do what other people want. But I believe he also wasn't like rude about it. He criticized him. Mitch would say some things, Morrie would correct him or just let him go. He wasn't rude about it. He wasn't really open about it. He let Mitch do what he was doing, but he would explain his side of things and how he felt, hoping that Mitch would pick things up and kind of do things a little differently. Do you think Morrie should have been tougher on him or easier? I believe that Morrie had his own way of how he did things. This is how he did things. It was throughout his entire life. He didn't really change. He was just expressing his opinions. He didn't really want to force you to do anything. He wanted you to do things the way you wanted to do it, so you would be okay. He didn't want to force you to do things. If that's what you want to do, he couldn't change you, but he would help to influence you. So I really think he wasn't too tough, and he definitely shouldn't have gotten any easier. Maybe he should have been a little tougher, but it was just his lifestyle and how he liked to do things. So for question 3, do you think Mitch would have listened if Morrie hadn't been dying? Well, In the beginning of the story, it talks about how Mitch said he was going to keep in touch with his college professor because he was almost his best friend. And until his death, he did not keep in touch with morrie. Mitch did not talk to morrie until he saw him on this Nightline news presentation. So, I do not think if it had been for morrie's illness, Mitch obviously would have never came back to morrie to meet with morrie, interact with morrie, talk to morrie. I think if morrie just would have died without all the media, Mitch really would never notice and never would have talked to him. So, but I think if Mitch was in morrie's life rather than just being away, he probably would have listened to him no matter what, because he came to him in the end, and he still relived his college days with morrie. So he obviously liked morrie, and he would have liked to spend time with him no matter what if he was there. Does impending health automatically make one's voice able to penetrate where it couldn't before? I believe that when you are dying, people are going to listen to you more. You're on your last days. They know they're not going to see you again very soon. They're going to listen to what you have to say. They're not going to ignore you. They want to hear what you have to say. What you have to say is precious to them because it is the last things they will have from you before you end up dying. So I believe that one's voice is listened to much more when you are dying rather than when you are alive, unless you have a big influence on them. And if you already do have a big influence on them, you're going to impact one's life much more, and you're going to influence them. They're going to listen to your words. They're going to process that and everything. So question number 4. Does this book make morrie's death a public event? I do not really believe it made his death much of a public event, but I believe that it was on television. The people that knew him were going to come and see him, but the people that really didn't know him obviously didn't start showing much interest. So it wasn't really a public event. It was more of an notice, I would say. But other than people that really knew him, that was about all that seen him. So it wasn't that. It was obviously publicized on the news, but anyone could come, anyone could visit him. He was open to visit with anyone, but I really don't think it was like going to like a convention or something. Everyone's not pouring in, so it was more or less like down low key event where people just come to visit. So yeah. If so, how is it similar to other public deaths we've experienced as a society? How is it different? Well, public deaths, I don't really have much of experience with public deaths, but like celebrities are public deaths. Everyone know about celebrities. Celebrities are all over the news. When a celebrity dies, a lot of the times they're going to have a big funeral ceremony. For morrie, there wasn't really a big funeral ceremony. It was more of his words that were known to the people. What he said is why people picked up on this. So it's a lot different from other public ceremonies. Or other public deaths, such as with a actor or something, some musician. A lot more people are going to pay attention to that rather than this. This is more or less, you're not going to you don't know this guy unless you knew him beforehand. He's not all over TV every day, so not everyone's going to take an interest in him. It's pretty much already if you already know him. So question 5. Morrie referred to himself as a bridge, a person who is in between life and death, which makes him useful to others to understand both. So I believe that as him being a bridge between life and death, he interacts with people because they know he's dying, so he's able to explain to them that he will be okay, he's fine, and then how to cope with his death so that his death can be an example of when other people die, you know how to deal with death so that you're not mourning, crying, getting all upset. You do all the basic things, but you're not gonna end your life over it. You're gonna keep going. That's what Morrie wanted to do. He wanted you to understand that he was still there, but he's dying very soon, so that he was going to portray to you how to accept death. He himself was dying, and he knew his time has come, so he was accepting it, and he was trying to show other people how to accept it and not be frustrated and how to move on with their lives. Talk about other literary, historical, political figures, or religious figures who have also served the same purpose. Well, when people are dying, especially big popular figures in the media, people really take notice to them, such as every once in a while when a pope is dying. They know the Pope's dying, they're watching in on the Pope, they're waiting for the white smoke when the Pope does die for a new Pope. So when the Pope dies, he kind of serves as a bridge between life and death, because you're looking at him, you know that he's not the end, you know there's going to be another Pope, and so kind of like with Morrie, you're learning from him, learning morals, and you're waiting for the next person to go to. You're not going to have this person forever. You know, after he goes, you'll find someone new. You won't have this empty space in your life forever. Now, question 6. Morrie told Mitch about the tension of opposites. Talk about this as a metaphor for the book and for our society. Well, I believe that opposites, they don't really get along that well, but it's necessary to get things done. What Morrie's saying is when two different people don't really agree on something, they have to work together to kind of get a compromise, and the only way you're ever going to get something done is with a compromise. So in our society, people aren't going to be okay with someone dying unless you sit down, you talk to that person that's dying. They know that they're going to go to a better place or whatever they believe. You know that they're going to go to a better place or whatever you believe. And you're going to be okay with this. So you come with a compromise, understand that everything is going to be okay. Just as in this book, that's how Morrie wanted it. He wanted you to know it's going to be okay. Whether you don't like it or not, it's happening and everything's going to be fine. Just as in things such as politics or whatever, you need a compromise to get anything done. So compromises are obviously very important. Now, question 7. Mitch made a list of topics that he wanted Morrie's insight and clarity. In what ways would your list be the same or different? Well, Mitch asked many different questions about how he would, what he would ask, what he wasn't clear on, what he wasn't okay on, and stuff like that.